Development Goals agenda, which was adopted by the UN since 2000, officially came to an end on Friday. During the SDG summit held on Friday at the United Nations headquarters in New York, a new set of 17 goals was adopted over the upcoming period until 2030, targeting a wider range of global issues such as the climate change and energy. The summit was held in the presence of delegations from at least 190 countries. According to President El-Sisi, Egypt has been working hard for the past 3 years to prepare the SDG agenda. He further highlighted the inauguration of the Suez Canal in August as one of the key Egypt investments achievements in that front. We'll be speaking more about this topic. We're joined with Ambassador Abdel Halim Farghaly Taha, who is the former Assistant Minister of Foreign Affairs. Thank you very much for joining us. It's a great pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you. My pleasure.
So if we move first towards, we always hear the word the Millennium Development Goals. And how far are we from achieving this? Because there has been a lot of meetings and more leaders gathered trying to change towards a better climate change and fighting, this crisis. The same thing for energy and politics, a lot of topics. So in your opinion, how is this progressing in terms of the development goals?
Well, that depends upon the whole world countries, not only Egypt, not only the big powers, but of course there are a lot of developed countries who are affecting the climate in the whole world. So Egypt is a partner in this field, and Egypt is taking care of its climate, is participating in all conferences and meetings regarding the climate improvement in the whole world. We have, as you know, our Ministry of Environment is working locally in this regard. We are dealing with our African partners to improve our climate in the African continent. So Egypt is very keen to participate in all forums and conferences regarding this issue.
Yes. So the Egyptian President Abdel el-Sisi met with several heads of states and important political figures in New York during the 17th session of the United Nations General Assembly. What are the most remarkable, of those meetings?
Well, it was discussing a lot of topics, mainly terrorism. Of course, bilateral relation with those countries is there. Cooperation in the field of economy or investment, cooperation in the field of climate changes, the would-be, hopefully, Egypt's membership, non-permanent membership of the Security Council. All these matters has been discussed between the President Sisi and the other leaders.
What do you think of the speech itself?
Well, the speech, in my opinion, is tackling a lot of subjects, of course. It was very balanced, very moderate, and in the meantime expressing Egypt's views regarding a lot of issues and international issues. Egypt's role in the region, Egypt's role in combating terrorism. So it was kind of expressing Egypt's views and talking to the whole world about the local affairs also in Egypt, the economic development and the improvement of investment atmosphere in Egypt.
Yes. So part of the topics that was mentioned during his speech was, tackling the counterterrorism efforts. The president said there is no doubt that more than 1.5 billion Muslims refuse to subscribe to the views of a small minority that claims to be speaking on behalf of the majority through violence and extremism. So this is a message also to the world, because in terms of what we see as viewers from the enormous amount of terrorism and attacks everywhere, it's giving definitely the wrong message towards the religion of peace.
Of course, these acts and the fanaticism and extremism and terrorism is distorting the image of Islam and Muslims as a whole. Egypt is fighting terrorism on its own land and is trying to participate with the whole world and the whole Muslim world to improve the Muslim and Islam image, which was largely tarnished by these acts. Of course, as the President said, about 1.5 or 1.3 billion Muslims, they are not all with these acts of terrorism or even fanatic thoughts. So he's saying to the whole world that this is not Islam and this is not the whole Muslims. There is a sect or part of the Muslims or part of the extremists in the Muslim world who are acting against the will of the whole Muslims around the world.
Yes. So also part of his speech he highlighted, the achievement of the Suez Canal and the message that's giving hope to others and opening the world for better investments and better business to the entire world. How important is this for the other world leaders? Do you think it is relevant? Is it really impactful for others or not?
Of course, because it affects the inauguration of the new branch of the Suez Canal. Is facilitating the world trade. It affects and benefits the whole world. It's not only benefiting Egypt, but it benefits the whole world and facilitating the world trade. So, of course, it has a big impact.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, in general, how did you evaluate, this gathering of the world leaders? Do you think it is better than the other gatherings? It is objective towards development goals? There is change that we can be hopeful about?
Well,
this is like a meeting to change the world.
It's not a meeting to change the world. The General Assembly is not that effective like the Security Council.
Of course.
But it is very important as a gathering of the minimum.
But because you're a politician, you'd be seeing the Security Council is the more effective.
Of course, because its decisions are more effective, and the big powers are there in the Security Council. The resolutions of the Security Council are very much implemented, which is not the case with the General Assembly. But the importance of the General Assembly is the big gathering, the whole world leaders. It is an opportunity to meet each others and exchange views. It is an opportunity to any country to expose its internal policies and external policies as well. So,
but this is like, you're almost agreeing with the criticism against, such gatherings, because there has been, strong criticism about, the Millennium Development Goals are very political. There has been a lot of protests as long, aligned with those meetings, and people are demanding for effective decisions and change to fight important issues like climate change, for example, which is everybody affected from. So you're putting it in a more diplomatic way that you're agreeing with this criticism.
Well, in a way, the critical people, or the critical people, those who are criticizing these kind of gatherings, partly they have the right to criticize, because a lot of world problems are not solved, whether it is political ones or environmental ones or economic ones, because of conflict of interests of countries, whether it is big powers or regional powers or developing countries. So, but this cannot exclude, or this cannot put aside the importance of the UN forums and the meetings which is being held to discuss and trying to solve the world problems.
Yes. If we move to another topic and within also your expertise, but slightly away from the foreign affairs, it is the upcoming parliamentary elections. And Egyptians are looking forward for a parliament, their voice, their change, their will and strength in order to change a lot of minor and major things in Egypt that is really essential today to take Egypt to the next level. How do you think of this step? Are you confident about the upcoming parliamentary elections?
Confident that the parliament is necessary for Egypt at this very critical stage. You can't do without having a legislative body. You can't, because this is your outside image also. You have to adopt a lot of laws and legislations, and most of it are related to investment with the outside world, with trade with the outside world. So it's a must to have a parliament. Whether this parliament will be effective in the way which we want or we wish, I hope so. But I don't think it will be that most effective parliament because of the stage itself. We are still in having a lot of security problems. We are still having some quarters which is against the regime and against the political system in the country. So gradually things will be improving, but we have to have this parliament. You can have a lot of parliamentarians who are not to the level of our expectations, but still it is very much needed.
Perfect. But this sounds also, because the political parties and their participation in the political process and their presence has been really on the downside. After the 2011 and the 25th of January revolution, there has been, there is awakening energy and efforts by the political parties in order to present their candidates and work with the community and so on and so forth. Today, this is not the case. You can barely remember who are the parties. They're not advocating, they're not supporting, they're not empowered, and they're very far. So this is it kind of worrying to you to have such a low performance political parties participating in the parliament and taking decisions that is affecting a nation?
Of course, it is very much worrying because the political parties and the intelligentsia in Egypt must have a role in building their own country. Staying apart and not being active in participating in this kind of important activity is not that the thing which we wish. The circumstances in Egypt now are improving. The political parties are having, in a way, a reason to, because they are not very well financed. They don't have very much background or popularity in the Egyptian streets. But once we have this first parliament after the revolution, I think they will have the experience and improve themselves.
So it is an essential step.
It is.
It wouldn't be the perfect parliament, but again, it is a step towards the transformation for Egypt.
I do agree with you. Yeah.
Right. Finally, Ambassador Abdel Farghaly, it has been a great pleasure to be having you with us. You are the former Assistant Minister of Foreign Affairs. I'd like to thank you very much once again
for
your time
having me.
and for your presence with us.
Thank you very much.
Now we'll move to speaking about the climate change. Let's also speak about the environment. And there has been a conference that was set up in Egypt, all about a better environment. And we have more in the upcoming report and the conference that was held here in Egypt by Ran Al-Assas.